court.
Yeah, first thing to note for everybody, you've had 4 judges in the United States that have ruled that the president has misused his emergency powers. And one of these judges was even appointed by Trump. So to talk about the presidential, overreach is really the pinpoint here. And the merits are just as good as now as when we filed the case. And the reality to this is, a stay is just that. It periodically pauses given action so that the appellate court can consider the merits of the case. This isn't a ruling on the merits. So this isn't a victory for the President Trump, but they should be incredibly concerned that you have 4 judges ruling exactly the same.
Well, in preparing for tonight's interview, I watched you the last time you were on the Hill. I want to play a bit of sound from when you were here then, along with a bit more from the White House press secretary. Let's roll the tape.
It doesn't matter whether you're the president of the United States. It doesn't matter whether you are just a member of the community. You do have to follow the laws in our country.
These judges failed to acknowledge that the President of the United States has core foreign affairs powers and authority given to him by Congress to protect the United States economy and national security.
So Caroline Leavitt says the judges have gone rogue. Who's right here?
Well, this is fascinating to me. And it's almost that the press secretary and President Trump himself have forgotten what they learned in grade school. And when you go back to the Constitution, and we all agree that's what should control here, the Constitution gives Congress the power to set tariffs. That isn't an inherent presidential power. Congress has delegated some authority to the president under Title 19. That's not the law the president used. Every single president has used Title 19 laws. He used an emergency power. No president has ever used that power, and that's why he got struck down, and he's going to get struck down again. And the reason he wants to do that is because he wants to skirt the sideboards, the safeguards for our economy that Congress put in place. He doesn't want to do those. Those have limits on terms. Those have limits on the period in which that these tariffs can get administered. So he's trying to do this in a backwards way and find a loophole, and the judges said no.
Well, the three panel of judges, my producers dug in to see, who appointed these judges. And one was Obama, one was Reagan, and one was Trump himself. But I want to get on to this. Consumers who are watching tonight, it's a lot of whiplash. It's a lot of back and forth. What does this mean for consumers in your state of Oregon and others as well?
This is the most important question that people should be focused on. This is $3,800 that would have been an increase to average households every year. This is expenses to businesses that won't go through if this court decision is upheld. In last week or 2 weeks ago, we had a decrease in revenue in the state, $700+ million in Oregon. That means less money for schools. And that decrease was tied to the uncertainty in tariffs. As costs of goods go up for a given state, again, that's less money we spend on schools, less money we spend on healthcare. This impacts us all. And even Trump's own studies show that these tariffs pass down to us, and they are a hidden tax disguised as a tariff on all of us.
Well, if you follow the White House on social media, they do this thing called the MAGA Minute every week. And what they would point to is the investments that have come in from overseas and onshoring jobs. I think we can show some of those examples as we then turn to your state as well. So also, Oregon's unemployment rate has been steadily rising since June of 2023, and it's outpacing the national rate. Is there a chance that these tariffs could be helping to bring jobs back to your state and, your efforts here are thwarting that?
No, I'm a big fan of facts, and the facts here are incredibly clear that this is not helping. And in fact, more importantly, the president takes an oath to follow the Constitution. The president takes an oath to follow the laws of our land. And Congress has given him some authority for tariffs. And tariffs can be incredibly helpful for the imbalance of power between nations. However, you have to follow those laws. He followed them during his first Trump administration, and he's choosing not to follow them now. And it's incredibly important that there are safeguards for our economy. And what I would tell you, $720+ million less in Oregon for revenue due to tariffs, that impacts schools, that impacts jobs. When you have what I would tell you, products being pulled off of shelves in Canada for Oregon businesses, that impacts jobs. So the real facts here are that this is incredibly harming to all of us. And I would love people to just ask their neighbors, can you afford another $3,800 a year? That's a real question that we should all be asking ourselves.
Well, we know which tax bracket that would impact the most, for sure. Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield, we appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, joining us now on the Hill, we have Sean Spicer, News Nation political contributor and host of the Sean Spicer Show podcast, and Chris Cillizza here with me in the studio, a News Nation contributor. Gentlemen, great to see you today.
Hi.
Hey, I'll start with you since you're right here with me, Chris.
Take
How
that,
about it?
Spicer. Okay.
All right, let's talk about
Well,
about
you know what?
Taco Tray.
If I knew you were in town, I would have come in for this. I thought this was Blake. I
I
don't know
would have
anyone
loved to
for Blake.
see you. I would have loved to see you. I have a picture of you holding my son when he was about 6 months old. I'll have to share with you after the show.
I remember that in the green room.
Let's talk about, that's right. Let's talk about taco trade. This is not the acronym that Trump was hoping for. Let's go ahead and roll the tape.
Mr. President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I set down to 100 and then down to another number? Don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question.
I promised Chris I'd start with him since he treated me coming into the studio. Is this a hit on Trump's ego or water off a duck's back?
It had clearly annoyed him, right? I mean, he's relatively, as a thin-skinned person, I recognize a thin-skinned person. He's relatively thin-skinned, which, by the way, he has in common with lots of politicians. So yeah, I think it annoyed him. He does the worst thing, the biggest insult Donald Trump can give, and certainly the biggest insult you can say about Donald Trump in his mind is that he's weak or afraid, right? So much of his appeal to voters is that he fights, that he's tough, he doesn't back down, right? That's why the assassination attempt was so critical in affirming that, like, this guy got shot and he got up and said, fight, 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 right? So I think, yes, it clearly annoys him. Do I think in the long run it has any impact? I sort of doubt it. I mean, my guess is Democrats will use it to troll him.
Yeah.
Like him in a chicken outfit
right,
and
they
that whole
already
9
are.
yards. But, right.
Yeah, you can
But
hear it
do I think it's going to derail his presidency? No.
Right. All right, Sean, we'll tee it up to you then. Trump always chickens out. It probably doesn't have as nice of a ring to Trump as Make America Great Again does. What's going through his mind right now?
Well, the thing that I find interesting is you can say a lot of things about Donald Trump. I think chicken out is not one of them. He's the guy who took on these countries for the first time. Politicians of both parties have refused to take on not just tariffs and trade and the imbalances that exist, but big, so many of the institutions that we on the right have cared about for a long time. Look at what he's doing at Harvard. I just don't think the moniker fits. It's kind of silly, to be honest with you. And the other thing that's interesting about this entire trade issue is they've already appealed it. So if he was chickening out, they wouldn't have appealed it. And I think that the dirty secret that and I know this sounds a bit wonky, but this is what you get when you're the former assistant U.S. trade rep, is they made a decision early on in this fight to go down the IEPA route, which is the emergency procedures that the Oregon Attorney General was talking about. They knew there would be some legal risks. And what he had referenced at the end of that segment that you did with him is there are trade remedies, which are 131, 232, and 301, which require investigations, take a little bit longer, but that's the investigative power that Congress has given the President of the United States, the executive. I think regardless of how the courts rule on this, he'll pivot to those trade remedies that he has. They kept in place the sectoral things, the autos, the aluminum, the steel, and the bottom line tariff that he is going to keep in place is still there as well. So I think we're losing a little bit of the context. It's not like he stripped all of the things. He's negotiating and he's getting better deals for America. So the context really does matter in this discussion. And I think broad picture, it's not what the simple version that I think a lot of the folks in the media want to give people.
I just wish we had more time to talk about how this is impacting small business owners because the whiplash is killing them. Sean Spicer, thank you so much for joining us. Chris, I'll see you later in the show. Thanks again.
Just make sure you let me know the next time you're in D.C. I'll come in for you.
Sounds good. I'll do it. And I'll send you that picture, too. All right, 12 minutes after the hour, coming up on the Hill, celebration today at Harvard as the class of 2025 walks the stage. But the school's fight with Trump marches on, how the battle over international students is heating up. Plus, taste the rainbow, the major change for Skittles as RFK Jr.'s MAHA movement gains steam across the U.S. And he's out of office, but Joe Biden is the talk of Capitol Hill, why the former president is becoming a target for House Republicans. Welcome to Washington. I'm Anna Koyman, filling in for Blake. Today, The Hill is coming right back.
Members of the class